Hey guys, Pete here. Got a quick story for you. Another one while I'm doing my drive here. So we had decided to rent a car. I drive from Miami up to see my mom in North Carolina, and I went on to Expedia. I looked for an unlimited mileage car. It was all a good rate. It was over by the airport, so I paid online. I paid for the insurance, and show up at the airport, and that particular company wasn't there. I didn't recognize the name. It's like Easy something. I'll think of it here in a little bit so I can give you a negative review. And I'll look for further details. Oh my gosh, it's over by the airport. Here's the address. So we ride over there. There's a line outside. Go all the way through the line, only to find out that the car did not have unlimited insurance. In fact, the vehicle was not allowed to be taken out of the state of Florida. And so I'm like, okay, cancel, because I just did it on Expedia like 2 hours before. In order to go through the cancellation process, I go to the app. You had to call in. So I called in, I speak to one of their Easy something. I talked to one of the representatives, and they said, well, yeah, you can't take it outside of the state of Florida. That like you should know their policies or something. And so I talked to him, and I said, look, my trip, the reason I'm renting a car is to drive to North Carolina, so I had to cancel. And so we cancel, and that's it. Then I had to call Expedia because I wanted to make sure I got my insurance money back because I paid the auto insurance as well. And they use this verbiage. Well, as soon as we verify the acceptance of your cancellation of the car rental, then we'll reimburse you the money. I said, what do you mean? I said, listen, I spoke to the guy. He didn't give me a cancellation number. We're doing this whole third-party game. And so I applied pressure. I said, well, I am canceling. I'm here. I just left the place. What do you want? The lady calls, puts me on hold. And the wait time for the other company is way too long because I already went through that. Comes back and says, well, the wait time's too long, but we'll send you a verification email. And sure enough, the next day, the company has denied your request for a refund based on their terms and conditions. And they kept my money. They refunded the insurance. They kept my money. I'm raising hell. You're not going to keep my money. Expedia finally issued me a credit that I could utilize for the amount of that, but lesson learned. This is me. This is my experience. I'm telling you right now. This is the experience of anybody doing business with any other business, heating and air or not, in all the world. This is called an experience-based customer perspective. I will never do business with some fly-by-night little car rental. We go right to Hertz. Pay top dollar. Don't care. Just give me a car. Let me know what I'm getting, and know that if I have any problems, I can call and I get the support. An experience-based customer is not looking for the cheapest price. You'll get us once, but you'll not get us again. So this falls into the X factor, and I've been talking about this a good bit. And most of you guys don't even know what I'm talking about on this. Many of you do. I know many of you do. But so many heating and air companies are lost. They do the same old stuff. I'll let this trucker in front of me. They do the same old ploys. We're going to run the same old advertising and run a money special. We're going to give you a discount. Same thing that they got me on with Expedia. I never even read their terms and conditions. Man, it was deceptive as hell. Really made me mad. I'm still going to file a complaint with Miami-Dade. Because they stole like $100 from me for nothing. That's a bad experience. And, $100, $100. But when you're the business, heating and air, you go out there and you have customers that have these frustrations about the money. A lot of times it's not that particular instance. They're remembering something like this, and it kind of ties together. So what does this mean to you as a business owner? What it means is you have to be different in a positive way than every other heating and air conditioning contractor out there. You need to restructure your identity. You need to be perceived as the big time, the high quality. You don't have to be the biggest one. I'm not talking about that. You can be a 1 or 2 truck operation. And it goes beyond the wrap, but with a professional wrap, professional identity, a very clear slogan, and key message in your marketing. And understand how to advertise, understand how to market differently than whatever everybody else is going this direction. You got to go the other direction. $100 off. We give you $500 system rebate. This is a 3-ton, 90%, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Most of you are heating and air conditioning professionals. You're not marketing professionals. Hell, look at your image. It's a disaster. Oh, you're see there? I just insulted. You may think your brand is all that. You may think your rep is so good. It's not. Usually. Let me see if I can get around this guy now. Yeah. Sorry. He's got a big old lumber pile up there. I just want to, he's staying in the passing lane. I want to get around him. You may think that your identity is spot on because you created it, but you're not a marketer. If you would go through the work, and I talked about the inner work, most of us are limiting ourselves anyway. We think this can't be done or that can't be done. You got to get past all that, and that requires inner work. You've got to know what your core values are as a business. You have to know what your true why as a business is. I'm going to shoot by. I got a wide load over here. Got a big mobile home there, and a lot of traffic out today as I'm heading down to Florida. You have to do that inner work and create this identity that comes from you, so that it is congruent with who you really are and how you really behave and what your values are as a human being, how they leak into the values of your business, and which of those values are shared by your best customers, your experience-based customers, the good ones. The ones that will pay top dollar. They just want it right. I don't care what it costs. I just don't want problems. I'm not shopping for the cheapest surgeon because this is my health and I want it done right. I'll pay more. That's the way they approach medicine. I don't want just anybody in my home. I want somebody who knows what they're doing. They have they're perfect, but I can identify this. That was what inspired HVAC greatness. All right, you're so great. How come your customer can't perceive that? How come they stick you in the category with all the other contractors out there? Why? Because you're not standing out. You haven't figured out how to shine. You haven't figured out how to communicate how you're different than everybody else. So that's why we put this process together, and that's what I'm telling you about my experience with the car rental. I ended up, like I said, getting this little SUV here, unlimited miles. Had 3 miles on it when I picked it up. The car had 3 miles on it. Now it's got 1,159. Been a good trip. But man, I'm happy. unlimited mileage. The car is awesome. I know I'm good. If it costs me a little bit of money, whatever. But it's honest money. You got to understand the difference between more expensive and ripping people off, right? Charging more for the same old crap, or giving more value and passing that cost and margin and profit onto your customer. Two different things. If you want the X factor, if you want to be that company that the very best customers in the market say, no, I'm going to pay, I'll pay a little bit more, and I'm going to go with this company, then you have to do the work. And it's not overnight. It's not one thing. It's not one line that you put in your sales process. It's not one SEO marketer or digital marketer is going to bring you all these leads. That's not what it is. Somehow, and this is what blows my mind, we get stuck in our heads that all we have to do is like a dimmer switch is up and down our lead generation based on our workload. All we have to do is find that, right? But where do they come from? Where do those leads come from? When your need goes up, it's because everybody's work source went down. Now you're fighting all your competition over that same new lead. And don't get me wrong, you have to go through a lot of that when you're in customer acquisition, but when you're young, you're trying to build customers, etc. and so forth. But you'll quickly hit a point that doesn't take that long where you have a customer base, and if you've done it right, if they can clearly see your value in your messaging, in your unique identity, in your rap, in your uniform, in your vocabulary, in how you communicate, in the structure of the calls, the professionalism, the way you approach, totally different than everybody else. When you start approaching like that, and you charge more, and you start going out, dude, customers get excited about it. Not everybody. You've got value-based customers. They're going to go for the cheapest no matter what. There was a big line the day I went to Easy whatever car rental crap that was. Big line. But when I went over to Hertz, over at the main airport, I got the good one. There was a line there too. And the people looked different. They sure did. The people looked different. They were dressed different, you know what I'm saying? Different type of people. There's some people that are always going to go for the cheapest. That's why, we have these econo cars, vehicles out on the road. But there's a lot of people that want the best. And that's why these high-end cars will always be around. Remember back in the day, they used to say, Cadillac was the best. Oh, that's the Cadillac. That's the Cadillac. My grandmother had one. It was beautiful. Big old tank car. And so the Cadillac of heating and air might be whatever your favorite brand is. But now they say the Mercedes. Because Mercedes, Porsche, BMW, the Germans, they did it right. They came in here. And now, in the very town where you're at, where there is nobody that will pay high end, there's probably a Mercedes dealership or a BMW dealership. Not always. You may be in a blue collar area and everything else, but where you choose to. This goes back to. I was looking at the time on this. This recorder's weird. I lost my thought. This goes back to the very beginning of when you set your business up. You should have done demographic research and see, what the average income was in that market, what what zip codes people were in, and what the population is, and what your competition, how much competition was already in there, what their market share already was, etc., etc. And then you determine, is this, can this market handle, another player? And hopefully, can they handle a player that's high end like me? I'm sorry, I'm getting into a little bit of traffic here. Let me get on this lane. And so, once you've determined that, you kind of know what you're up against. But if you just open up your business where you happen to live, like I did, then you find out, well, maybe there's not a lot of high-end people in this market. Maybe I should have been on the other side of the river, or wherever that is for you. But that's work you should have done a while back, and it's not too late to start migrating your business over in a different direction, if that's what you're running into. But even people who are in that mid-tier, type customer, they don't want the cheapest necessarily either. They want something good. They just want something they can afford. So they need it too. So I wanted to share my little car rental experience, because a value-based customer is your best friend. They're also the hardest one for you to get, because they're going to look at you and they're going to judge you. And this is why the new wraps, these companies are coming out and they're making these creative wraps, and they're doing so well, but that's only one piece. And I'm watching people go out and rebrand based on an identity created by some marketing person that really hasn't made that connection with the person, And we go all the way through that with the X Factor, a lot more affordable, so that you can go through and you can do the internal work and you can create this. It doesn't matter where you are, everybody should be working on this, and come into this clarity, on who I am in my market. That's where it starts. Then you learn how to communicate that very clearly. And your brand, company name, slogan, key marketing message, and your uniforms, your processes, customer experience processes particularly, your vocabulary, your communications, your software, everything has to complement that. That's the way it's done. So anyway, like I said, a little bit of drive time. I figured I'd shoot you a quick video and tell you about my car rental experience, because it's all relative. I mean, we're heating and air guys, and I think it's very short-sighted of us to only see that customer from the time the phone rings to the time we walk out their door and think that's really all we need to know. It's nothing. You need to know a lot more than that. You need to know where they come from. What about you appealed to them to trigger that phone call? What about you resonated with them to trigger that second phone call where they didn't call anybody, they called you back? Why did you call me back? What did I do right? What did I get right? What did we get right? What did the other companies get wrong? Why didn't you call me back? You call me back because you're cheap. You want to go try one of the cheap car rentals. That's fine. That's not who we are. But if you didn't call me back because you perceived me as inferior to another company, that's something I want to know, and I want to fix. Because perception, like is not always reality. If you want them to see your HVAC greatness, if you want to develop that X factor, that special thing that they don't know how, they don't know why, but that's the company, then you engineer that. And it's not as hard as you think. You just got to go, you got to hit all the points. You got to go through the structure. No, Pete, just tell me how to sell. I hear it all the time. No, Pete, how do I get more maintenance agreements? How do I get my phone? All I need is good marketing. Yeah. You're going to be burnt out in no time until you figure out how to transition from employee mindset over to self-employed, which is, you're not there yet. If you're self-employed, you probably have lazy habits and lack of accountability and responsibility, over to a business owner who's responsible, who's structured, who has accountability to their employees, to their customers at the highest level. That's where it's at. And if you're an entrepreneur with a fresh mindset, you have got to stop letting old school practices dictate your limitations. People's reactions, initial reactions, dictate what your pricing is, or what direction you're taking your services in, or what equipment you can't do that. One customer complains about your price, and all of a sudden, all your pricing is too high, and every customer must see that. You got to fix this. You got to fix this. You will flounder and struggle until you get this right. I think what we're going to do, we've been doing some inner circle mastermind groups. I think we're going to be moving over to an X Factor mastermind group. We drill in, we get, I don't know, half dozen, 6, 7, 8 non-competitive business owners from different parts of the country who can actually open up and be friends and share with each other, because you're not in each other's backyard, and start playing these scenarios out so that you're constantly improving it and you're taking it to the next level, and your competition has no idea what you just did. All they know is, what does this company, what have they done? All of a sudden everybody wants to work with them. You know, that's a cool rap, or that's a cool website, or that's a cool advertisement or video, or whatever you're doing. But they won't be able to duplicate it. They'll try. It's just like you guys trying to copy what you see. Your competition does this too. Trying to copy what you see advertisers do or marketers do. When you create your business name and you just made something up, you stuck it on there. Yeah, I did. Thought it was good. Wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't to the level that I would have liked to have had it. Looking back, at the time I thought it was glorious. My very first company name was an acronym. RTS, Heating and Air. Do you have an acronym for a business name? Get rid of it. God. It is the hardest names to remember. I don't know, some company with 3 letters or 2 letters. Come up. That's why we have a logo. It's a visual anchor that you cannot forget. And if you have a name that supports that visual anchor, that identity is powerful, and you approach this from a unique perspective that's different from everybody else out there, guess what? You're not, in your customer's mind, you're not in the same category with them. You must be different. You must be at a higher level. No, that's why you charge more. You're not like they are. They're just a bunch of contractors. You're a comfort specialist of some sort. Anyway, South Carolina's pretty right now. It's a little chilly out there. It says it's about 55 degrees. I'm going to be trucking on down. I got another 9 hours to go. So you guys be safe out there. I know you're out there running around too. Reach out to me if you're interested in going through this process. And if you're not interested in going through this process, why not? I don't care how successful you think you are right now. You need this. How do I know? Because none of you... I talked about that on the last one. The lottery... that lottery syndrome where you know, somebody who's never really had money wins the lottery, and all of a sudden they're millionaires, and they're into that new lifestyle, so 3 years later they're broke. You went into business with an employee mindset. And if you don't rewire things and come in with an entrepreneur mindset, you're not going to make it. People will never pay that much. That's employee mindset. A business owner understands their costs. They understand, what overhead is and what it costs to pull into that driveway. You've got to get that fixed first. I don't want to rip people off. That's not rip. Now somebody else is thinking for you. Somebody else that doesn't even understand your business has determined that you're ripping people off. Based on what? Your ignorance? These people's ignorance, right? They've determined that you've ripped people off. Now, it's this very rewiring that you have to do to yourself that you must do to your employees, because they're the ones that are on that front line. They're the ones that are sliding that price book over, and they're putting it right in front of the customers, saying $500, sliding it over there. And your customer's not stupid. They can see that body language subconsciously. They're like $500 versus $500, good price. To an educated technician who understands how expensive everything is. We went through that training with our guys. We went through it, and you should have seen the lights come on for my tech. So, we need to raise our prices. They went from it was too high to we need to raise our prices in one training session. And all of the resistance went away overnight. If you're not training, if you're not rewiring your own brain, going through the exercises that allows you to actually not imitate an entrepreneur, but to be an entrepreneur. And again, I'm not talking self-employed, I'm talking business owner, entrepreneur, who's not out copying everybody else, but creating your own path. Training yourself is key, and then training those who share your values and are coming along with you so that you can keep the oars in the boat, rowing the boat in the same direction, is vital. You're not going to make it without it. You're happy in the office. I sent the guys out. We're doing this great thing, and they're struggling. Why? Because they don't believe in what you're doing. Why don't they believe it? Because there's a conflict internal. Logically, we can make a lot of sense, but until you get that paradigm shift inside, the core beliefs are, my boss is overcharging. Or something to that effect. I'm not a salesman. I can't talk about that to the customer. I don't want to be pushy. What if they think I'm trying to sell them something that they don't need? That's on you, owner. That's on you, boss. That is your problem. Here's the funny thing. You're probably the first one to say, I don't want to overcharge, I don't want to sell, I don't want to do this stuff, because you haven't fixed your own upstairs. You got to go through the work. You just jump in business one day, you learn a lot, you make a lot of changes, but none of us can do this by ourselves. Not without the structure. That's why we put this together for you. This is gold, guys. This makes successful people successful. This allows you to figure out the financial requirements in order to lead the lifestyle that you need and free up the free time to be with your family, to be with your church, to be with your community, to go take vacation, to do the things that inspired you to start this business to begin with. But instead you become a slave to this, and you're running to this customer, you're running to that customer, and they don't even appreciate you. How much is that? And they're beating you down on this, and you gotta rise above the crap. Oh, you can't do that in this market, Pete. Then quit. Let somebody in there who can. Because I'm telling you, the minute you say you can't, you can't. Just like the minute you say you can, you can. believe it. Pete Ramsey here, HVAC Greatness, telling you about my rental car. Be safe. Talk to y'all later.